and to address all of your grievances. And when we're talking about something as serious as what happened in Gaza, when we're talking about the kind of weapons that were used, mothers were forced to watch their children, burned to death in front of them. Literally, it was a horrible conflict, and those students were directly affected by that. They had telling them to stand in an appropriate free speech zone where the speaker could ignore their message, where his supporters could ignore their message, to me is unreasonable. And that's what D.A. Rackauckus wants us to accept, and we simply can't.
It's about breaking the blockades. There's not just an unjust blockade on Gaza. There's a blockade of honest information about the facts on the ground in Israel-Palestine, right here in Los Angeles. And that's what we're here to break. It's about getting the truth out about what's happening.
But I would say that it's harder, I think, for Jews to speak up for Muslims because the conflict in the Middle East has ramifications over here. And people tend to think, I think both Jewish people and Muslim people tend to presume that people on the other side are their enemies. And that's something that really shouldn't continue into the future. I know that when my great-grandparents came here, I wish that there had been people from outside of our faith community who could have stood up for their rights. When people disparaged them for being immigrants, when people made up cockamamie conspiracy theories about Jews trying to take over the world in the same way that they do about Muslims now. I wish that somebody had been there for them. And so to what extent I can now be there for other people who are being discriminated against, I try to be.
And Jews have been speaking out on this for a long time. Jewish Muslim Peace is not a new organization. We're starting to gain momentum and gain speed, and as the world is becoming more aware of the actual facts on the ground, we're dealing with a situation that has not been sold correctly. There's been a huge media campaign or even advertising campaign to sell this conflict as something that it's not. It's not two sides with equal weaponry fighting over something. It's one side that's greatly outsourced, oversourced from another, actually perpetrating their will upon another people in a way that Jewish Americans certainly wouldn't stand for if the roles were reversed.